Morning, everybody. Welcome to Café on Tampa Online. Got another great program for you this morning. I'm going to hand off to my colleague Dell, who's going to introduce our speaker.
Good morning, everybody. We welcome you to Cafe Con Tampa, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Our guest speaker today is Jamal Wilson. He's founder of the Hall in Franklin. And his topic is going to be, among other things, how to grow a restaurant group during a pandemic. Jamal, tell us a little bit about yourself, when you started the Hall in Franklin, and how to grow a restaurant.
Hi, my name is Jamal Wilson with the Hall on Franklin. We officially opened in August 2017, so we've been open for a little bit more than 3 years. And how you grow a business in the pandemic is very carefully, like porcupines having sex, very careful.
Jamal, can you tell us some of the story? I think that if I remember correctly, Tampa was one of the first cities in the southeastern Florida to have this concept, and everybody was pretty blown away by it. Can you tell us like where the idea came from, and do I remember correctly that we were one of the first?
Yeah. I had sold my company to a GTE Credit Union probably about 2 years before we started the Hall, and just spent some time flipping houses. I've always been involved in real estate, and I just started to realize that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to work with the team again. So I told my close family and friends that I didn't care about the industry, but I had two mandates. I wanted to do something fun and work with people I would like. And my cousin was watching the food hall explosion on CBS News, and she said, "You should do a food hall." I thought she was crazy. I've never been in hospitality. I mean, I love to eat like everyone else, but my background is finance and real estate. But I spent about 6 months traveling all over the country, going to every single food hall I could find, whether that was in Denver, Atlanta, New York, and just realized I think it was something I could do. It's a lot like a real estate play in a way. I have a master lease on the building, and then I sublease to all of the restaurateurs that know that industry better than me. And it also let me kind of flex my design muscles. I really like design and building out spaces. So I think it just kind of worked well together.
What do you call that design style?
Yeah, it's funny. So people have labeled it industrious chic. I think it's industrial feel, but we have kind of a high-end finishes with leather and chrome and brass, things like that.
I was telling you before we got on, my two little kids, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, it's their favorite restaurant. They love going to the Hall, and there's a special seat that they like with a low table. So if you're listening, don't go book that table because they'll get mad. But
That's awesome.
The place. And one good thing about it compared to other halls I've been to in other places is that you have waiters. Like how did you come up with that concept?
Yeah, it was actually just me being a customer. And so, as I said, I was going to all these food halls. Not only would I try the food hall, but I would order from every different restaurant because one, I wanted to see how the experience was, and two, I was looking for different restaurateurs to bring back to Tampa. So I might be in a food hall with 9 different vendors and order 9 different things, and I'm sitting at a table with 9 buzzers or little flags, and then they would buzz or call my name, and I'd run up and get the food and come back. And I'm like, this experience is terrible. The thing that's great about food halls is diversity of food, but having to run around and get different food while your person is holding the table so no one else sits at the table just isn't a good customer experience. So I decided, what if you mix together the diversity of different food and concepts in a food hall with the restaurant style of full service eating? And we were the first in the country to do it. And I think we're still currently the first food hall that is full service.
It's a lot less stressful to do it that way. Otherwise, if you're trying to enjoy a meal with your family or friends, if they're running all over the place, then you may as well go to the mall and go to a food court. But can you tell us who your tenants are right now? Who are the restaurateurs that are in there?
Yeah, so in the Hall in Franklin, we have Poke Rose. It's Jason Klein's concept. It's his first individual restaurant. He used to be a head chef at the Birchwood in St. Pete. We have Fork and Hen, which is owned by Mark Tragot and Alfonso. I'm forgetting Alfonso's last name now, but they were the head chefs at 2 restaurants in the golf resort in Green Bay, Florida. It's skipping my mind what the name of it is now. But this is their first individual concept, and they've also opened up Wabi Sabi, which is a ramen concept. We have Zilo and Chef and the Baker, which is chef couple, Chef Ricardo and Chef Rosanna. They used to be the owner of Pecan in Hyde Park in West Tampa, and they've opened up 2 concepts. We have Top 10, which is helmed by the chef Rudy Clark. He's been a chef in the industry for a while. This is his first standalone restaurant. And we also have the Collection Bar, which is controlled, managed, and operated by Ro Patel, who's an industry vet for years, opened and owned Ciro's. Has also been a consultant on probably most of the cocktail bars in the Tampa area, as well as a funny story. We were in DC maybe a year back. We were just bar hopping, and we walked into a bar, and it had a menu, and it had Ro Patel's famous cocktail. So it just shows you kind of the depth of talent that we have at the Hall. That this guy is on a menu in DC for his own cocktail.
We should.
Pretty cool.
It's a great experience, and I know you're expanding it. Tell us about your expansion plans.
Yeah. So we just announced that we're going to be going in Midtown. We think that's going to be an iconic location in Tampa, one of probably only 3 walkable areas in Tampa where you could drive your car and just walk around and enjoy the experience. We're also expanded to Orlando. We're currently in construction in Orlando right now, hoping to be open in January. And we have our eyes on a few other projects, one of them being in Atlanta in Perimeter Place, soon to be known as Ashford Lane in Dunwoody, Atlanta. We're also in talks with Snellville, the municipality, the city. Snellville is a really cool town, about 45 minutes outside of Georgia, but they're having a problem where their young people are going to college in Atlanta and these other places and are moving back. So their idea is to open up a really cool big food hall and experience where kind of drives traffic back into town. And then obviously we've had a lease in place in St. Pete with PTM partners in the Edge District for a while. They're kind of revamping the model, so we think that's probably going to be a 2023 opening. So yeah, we're definitely in go mode and just trying to make the correct decisions for the next 10 years for our business.
We have a first question from the floor. Bill Yanger asks, can you talk about the emergence of North Franklin Street and how you chose that location for the first hall?
Yeah, first of all, so Bill Yanger has not only been my lawyer in the past, but he's a really good friend of mine and a great man running for judge. So first thing is vote for Bill. Second thing, it's funny. People think, I did this huge demographic study to go into Franklin Street, but I wanted to be as close as I could downtown. I feel we're an urban concept, and that was the only building that I could afford. So it just kind of worked out. And the building just happened to be beautiful. So it really was just, I wanted to be as close to downtown as I could. And the lease was something that I felt that I could work with and still be able to build out the concept with my cash.
This is a question I hate to ask, but everybody asks this question. How has COVID-19 affected your business and how have you adapted for it?
Yeah, so it's funny. It's not funny, but it's taught me a lot of good and a lot of bad. It helped me reevaluate my business. It helped me also plan out where our next locations would be. And it's just affected us financially as it's affected most everyone else. We're at obviously 50% capacity due to a governor mandate for restaurants and also just social behavior. I think people are still afraid. I think using masks as a freedom tool rather than an inhibitor, meaning you could put on your mask and go and do the things you want to do, as kind of increased volume. So we're right at 50%. We're pushing the 50% income. And it's taught us a lot about business. It's taught us that we want our locations to be in dense areas. If you're feeling afraid, if you're scared, if you're not comfortable going out, you're much more likely to step downstairs and go outside of your building and go to eat rather than drive 10 or 15 miles away to get something to eat or to have an experiential dining. So what we've realized is that for us, we want to be in dense markets going forward. We think that they're a little bit better able to deal with, I don't want to say catastrophes, but issues that pop up.
Hey, anybody who has any questions, if you're watching this live on Friday morning, please post the questions below or to the right of the feed. And please, if you're watching on YouTube later, hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. And also, if you're watching on Facebook now, hit the share button, because we do this as a public service to share information with the public, and we sure appreciate that. One of the things that's unique about your concept too is that also makes me very happy as a customer is that you allow reservations. I mean, in the beginning, I would get there, like take my kids on Sunday, I'd get there at 10:30 and there was a long line outside already to open at 11. But by taking at least a limited number of reservations, if you book in advance, you can get a seat. And so maybe you could talk about that, but also you went recently, I think, from Open Table to Resi, which Mise en Place and a lot of other restaurants have done. Can you talk about reservations and why you switched the reservation system?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first, we went to reservations. It's the same issue that you're having. When people would come in, it'd be very tough on our busy hours. We would be sometimes an hour and a half to 2 hour wait. And also, it's a little harder to control the flow in your restaurant if you don't have reservations. So we can kind of predict what the future is going to hold, how many people to have on staff. So I think it was a necessary progression. As for open table versus resi, it's strictly a financial thing. Open table is quite expensive. We found that resi caters to more of those smaller restaurants that are kind of just growing into the industry rather than those big, huge, flagship restaurants that have 30, 40 locations. So for us, we were paying extraordinary amounts of money because open table actually charges you per reservation. Resi is just a flat fee for the month. And as you say, we're quite a busy restaurant. We're 8,000 square feet with over 230 seats. So, you could turn 3 times. So you're talking about over 600 seats and you're being charged per reservation. It became quite expensive. Our bills were in the $1,500, $2,000 per month range, if not more, compared to resi, where we have a static number that we're able to manage better when it comes to budgeting.
Yeah, as a customer, I shouldn't be promoting Resi because that means more people will reserve. But it's RESY for anybody who hasn't downloaded it, and you need it for a lot of the independent restaurants around the country now. And I've been there a couple times since during the COVID times, and there's social distancing and all the requirements are there, but that also means there are fewer seats. So although I think you could walk in, use Resi and sign up. Del, do you have a question?
Well, I was going to ask, just on the food side of it, what are the food groups or the meals that people seem to enjoy the most and come back for the most?
That's a very good question. So it's funny. It also depends on the time of the year. We found that during the summer when it's hot, people enjoy poke rows, which is poke bowls. It's light. It's it's raw fish, so it's kind of a lighter salad type thing. As we get into the winter months, people then tend to gravitate towards comfort food, which would be your fork and hen, which is cornbread, fried chicken, more of a southern feel, as well as zilo, which is a Mexican concept. I always feel like Mexican cuisine just kind of everyone loves it no matter what time of the year or what day or night it is. But it rotates. It's funny, I feel like there's this big rush to one thing. So I may love Mexican today, but then a month from now, it's like top 10 is our number one concept, or fork and hen is our number one concept. I think people kind of go back and forth and come in groups and waves, and then make decisions and changes throughout the month and year.
Yeah, and you mentioned Ro Patel a little while ago, and I've known him for a few years. Great guy. I mean, he's an example of fantastic internationally known talent that we happen to have in Tampa and Tampa Bay. I call him a master mixologist. I don't know if that's the right term. I think he spent some time in London. And Del, we ought to put together a Café on Tampa, Holland Franklin tour to London with Ro, so he could take us around and show us all the different mixes. One time, I don't know if he would do this all the time, but one time I was in there with my little kids, and he asked them, "What flavor do you like?" And he created special concoctions for them right there on the spot. It's really amazing to be around geniuses like that.
No, and that's exactly what he is. And it's funny. So our story started, I don't drink. So we actually control the bar, and I needed someone that one knew how to put a bar together, how to craft cocktails, how to create that cocktail experience. So everyone said I had to talk to Ro. So I sat down with Ro, and we talked for an hour and just kind of got to know each other. Probably went on for more like 2 or 3 hours. And then at the end, he was like, "Yeah, I would love to be a consultant for you." And my response was, "Listen, you can be a consultant, that's great. But if you're a consultant and then you leave, the bar is going to go down because I can't take over and manage it. I don't drink. It's not my experience." So I said, "Listen, I will give you whatever you want. We can create the bar exactly how you want it. It's 100% your thing. Just say you're going to come with me and grow with the company forever." And I don't think he necessarily believed that I would give him carte blanche to do whatever he wanted, because I think people may say that but not do that. But I realized that it's not my thing. I don't understand it. So if you come across someone who has a genius like Ro, you give them every tool they need and let them kind of run with it. So that's what we've done.
And I should say, by the way, that my little kids are not drinking alcohol. He made.
No, we have a vibrant mocktail program. So yeah, definitely they weren't drinking alcohol.
Del, you have a question.
Yeah, Midtown, you mentioned it early on. When is that project open, and especially your restaurant?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the mandate for Midtown is that all the retail will be open by Super Bowl, so early February. So that include the hotels, all of the retail restaurants. We signed up a little bit late, so we're hoping to reach that mark, but we might be a little bit afterwards. But the goal is to get open as soon as possible, and they're moving. I've never seen a construction project move so fast. They're really on top of it, and we've been very fortunate to partner with those groups.
And tell us again about the other cities that you're going into.
Yeah, so Orlando, in Ivanhoe Village, we're in the yard development. We're actually just started interior construction now, so we're putting plumbing and electric in, hoping to be open by January. We are in lease negotiations in Atlanta and Dunwoody, but we think that'll be signed within the next week or so. Snellville is a project that we're talking with the municipality, so it's actually the city building the project. We think that's just going to be a really cool project. And then we've signed leases in St. Pete, which we think will be open late 2022, early 2023. I think we have a couple of things in the work, but I think those are the ones that we're probably ready to talk about now that are more towards concrete rather than still kind of working through design.
Tell us a little bit more about your St. Pete project.
Yeah, it's really cool. So we are partnering with PTM Partners. They're building a mixed-use project as well as Station House. The goal is for Station House to be above the hall, so you can have co-working space and also have really cool food and beverage. And we believe in Central Avenue, we believe in the Edge District. We believe whether the baseball stadium will be there or not, we just think it's just an up and coming area that is brimming with density and brimming with really cool ideas. I think what people don't realize about St. Pete is that it's more of a tourist town than Tampa is, because you have the beaches. So they get that influx of people, and it's just always well known that St. Pete supports St. Pete. So if you're building something really cool in St. Pete, the people will come out and support it and really support local, which is something obviously a small local restaurant like ourselves appreciate.
So you talked about supporting great local chefs like Chef Rosanna and her husband, and also what you're doing is supporting local brands or supporting the development of local food brands, and that's part of what I've seen, part of the evolution of the sophistication of a community as we more and more develop our local brands. What about where do you see that brand development going in our food scene? And then also we've seen people like Richard Gonsmart bring back Goody Goody. There are a lot of dishes that some of us would love to bring back from some of our favorite restaurants from the past. Any chance that any of those could come back?
Yeah, it's a great question. I had a chance to speak with Richard Gonsma. We sat down at the Columbia a few months ago, and it was really interesting hearing his perspective coming from a family-owned business and taking it to that next level. I think Richard is at that point in the career where he's just going to do things that excite him and that kind of turn him on, and Goody Goody is part of that. And I think he's fortunate enough that he's created a situation for himself that he's able to take those chances and do things that are really passion projects. So I think it takes someone that's in a position such as that, where they can take those risks that are just strictly about doing something that he enjoys and wants to see. And my hat's off to him. I think that's incredible. One of the things we've done to be able to support local, and it's a new initiative that we started, is we provide financing for, say that chef or that sous chef that's been working all his life and wants to be able to open up his own restaurant. We've been able to provide 100% financing, so you can build out your space in the hall, get your equipment, still retain 100% ownership of your new restaurant. But if you don't have that cash that it takes, and you don't want to give up, 70% of your equity to an investor, you're able to come into the hall, build your own brand, grow your restaurant and your idea, and then go out and open up your own restaurants after that. So that's kind of our thing that we've put out. And we've actually have 5 restaurants in Orlando now that are participating in financing, that are local restaurants that haven't had a chance to be able to open up their own, or local chefs, I should say, that this will be their first chance to open up restaurants. And that's something we're taking and pushing forward. So we have that opportunity in Midtown and all of our other projects as well. So you don't just have to be rich or have a rich, wealthy friend to be able to kind of go off on your own and open your restaurant. You can actually be a chef on a chef's salary and get with us and within a year have your own restaurant and your own brand.
Behind the scenes, you have essentially several, 5, 6, 7 individual restaurants. Is the kitchen 5, 6, or 7 individual kitchens, or is there shared space? How do you do that? That always intrigued me.
Yeah. So dealing with chefs, we realized that chefs don't like to share space. So they're all individual kitchens that have their own individual hoods and they cook. We do have a shared space for storage and cold storage where they use cages to separate out what food is theirs versus another chef. But yeah, we learned early on that chefs want their own space, want to be able to control and manage their own restaurants. So all of our locations have separate kitchens for each one. So you can imagine a location in Orlando, we have 9 separate kitchens, 9 separate hoods. Starts to get a little bit complicated, but I think it's kind of the best way to go to give them their own individual flair and experience to be able to control their own restaurant and identity.
Well, thank you. You've answered a question I've had for a long time.
My pleasure.
What do you see as the gaps in the local food scene? Like, are there certain kinds of food that you would like to include, or certain types of food that you would like to see evolve here?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I do think, and I think we have a dearth of minority ownership in restaurants. As being a Black man owning a restaurant hospitality group, I've tried to. We have maybe one African American chef in our restaurant. It's been hard to locate and identify more. I've had the pleasure of being able to offer a lot of new women chefs. We have a lot of female chefs in our concepts, but I think that's something that's missing. I think minority ownership of restaurants in the area is limited. As for actual cuisines, it's funny. To me, I feel like chefs may pick one cuisine for their restaurant, but they have the ability to cook a bunch of different cuisines. So what we've done is we've added a chef kitchen to all of our new concepts that allow us to bring in either outside chefs to kind of try something for a week or a month, or give chefs in our space the opportunity to try out a new cuisine. Just because your restaurant is a Mexican restaurant or, an Asian restaurant doesn't mean that you can't cook Italian food or you don't want to experiment with those things. So, a good example of that is Chef Ricardo and Chef Rosanna. Chef Ricardo is a baker by trade, but they have a Mexican restaurant in our space. Picant used to be a French bistro, so they probably want the opportunity to start messing around with some of those things as well. So we think with our private dining and our chef show and tell kitchen, we're going to give the opportunity for a lot of chefs in the area to try out different things and maybe play with things that they're not known for, but doesn't mean that they can't execute.
If there's any young people out here that are looking into culinary arts, what advice would you give them in starting their career in the food industry, especially in the food preparation, chefs, that route?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the answer is don't be afraid. If I can create a restaurant group, anyone can, because I had no experience in it. I think with everything in life, it's about having the willingness to fail and recognizing that failure isn't the end. So don't let that be a barrier for you trying and pushing forward. And also have the mental fortitude to push through. Nothing's going to happen overnight. And even if it does happen overnight, it doesn't mean that it's going to be successful overnight. The growing pains that we've learned in the last 3 years has put us in a position to be able to expand our brand into other cities. But without those 3 years of experience, we wouldn't be in a position to do those things. And don't be afraid to take chances. I think when I started, the biggest hindrance to me was people telling me, well, we've never done that in the 20 years that I've been in this industry, or in the hundreds of years this industry has been around. And me being more customer centric, because I hadn't been in the industry, I just wanted to do things that would appeal to customers like myself or guests like myself. So kind of being in command of your own voice and not allowing people to tell you no and pushing past that, I think is a huge tool that needs to be in everyone's tool belt. But I am the least experienced, most naive, dumbest restaurant owner in the world. So if I can execute it, then anyone can. So if you gain anything from me, it's doing your research, traveling around, making sure you see the things that are out there and you pick and choose items that make sense for you and you add your own flair to it. And Google can be your best friend. There's nothing wrong with researching through Google and getting as much information as you can. If you can't fly all over the country or drive to different places, Google is a wealth of information. So I think those things together, anyone can do it. If I can do it, anyone can. I'm nothing special. So.
We have a comment and a question from the floor. Laura Frost says, recommends bean salad from Whaley's and salad at Howard's, in case you're looking for recipes from older Tampa, or Tampa in the past. And then Jim McDonald, who's a regular and apparently a big fan of the Hall, also wants you to talk more about what you did before the Hall. Tell us about your entrepreneurial background.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough after college to play professional basketball overseas. And in the minor leagues, it used to be called the CBA. I think now it's called the D League for the Chicago Bulls. I played in Gary, Indiana. So I spent 5.5 years playing basketball overseas, different countries from Austria, Belgium, Switzerland, Holland, Colombia, all over the place. And when I came back, I was interested in going to law school. I graduated from Ames College with a pre-law degree, and I wanted to go to law school, so I needed to get a job to help pay for law school, and I fell into real estate. Worked at RealNet from 2003 to 2006, and instead of going to law school, I kind of fell in love with real estate. It was the height of real estate, and it was just kind of insane. It was a really exciting business to be in, and I ended up leaving RealNet and went on my own and started my own real estate company. From there, branched out to owning a mortgage bank. You start to realize if you're finding the properties, people are getting loans, why would you allow them to go outside and get loans from other lenders if you can create your own lending company? So we did that, and then expanded further. If you're going to do the loan, you're going to find the property, why not do the title? So we started a title company. So from 2006 through the recession, which pretty much destroyed us, kind of went from 25 employees down to just 2. Made our way through the recession and ended up partnering with GT Credit Union and managed their mortgage department, brought in our title company. And then I also managed real estate outside of that, and did that until 2013. Ended up selling my company to GTE. I was kind of tired of mortgages. It's a little bit stressful when you're dealing with most people's biggest purchase in their entire life. There's a lot of stress and liability involved with that. And I was kind of, okay, I'm past that point. And like I said, I spent 2 years after that flipping houses, which I've always done on and off. I've been fortunate enough to probably flip over 75 to 100 houses. Just said, hey, I want to do something fun and different. And I thought this would be a really cool business to try out. And I've been fortunate enough to be, we've been fortunate to be pretty successful so far.
Del, last question.
Well, what do you have planned for the future? You've had a great past, so the future's got to be even larger.
I hope so. I think first and foremost, get past COVID. And then second of all, just continue to build out different locations and cities we think are viable. And then ultimately, if I'm going to be honest, I always wanted to get into hotel development. I think the opportunity to design a space on that level would be excellent. And I always felt that the hall would be a great hotel lobby. So you imagine you walk in, you bring your bags to the bar, sit down, have a cocktail, able to order food from 9 different concepts. And then when you're ready, go upstairs or go straight upstairs to your room, be able to order from 9 different restaurants from the lobby, I think would be a great addition amenity to a hotel. So if you're asking me my long-term goals, it would be hotel design and development.
Well, we hope it's in Tampa.
I'm sorry, say that again, Del?
Hope your hotel concept's in Tampa.
Yeah, definitely. I tell everyone we're a Tampa-based business. So even though we're gonna, build and evolve to other cities, Tampa is our home. So I always felt, and I always say this, I think cost of entry into market, Tampa's a great city to build and be an entrepreneur. And then also the support of the local community. Tampa and Tampa Bay area, including St. Pete, Clearwater, support new projects and locally homegrown projects. So I think Tampa, if you're going to start a business, I think Tampa is probably, in my mind, the top in the country for places to originate and start businesses.
So on that note, we're out of time. Do you have any final thoughts or words? Appreciate your time this morning, and any website you want to direct us to?
Yeah, first to say thank you very much for offering me the opportunity to speak to your audience. It's been an absolute pleasure. Um, and no, just please continue to support the Hall in Franklin and all restaurants as we're going through COVID. We're all trying to be responsible, do the right thing, and protect you when you come in. So there's a lot of restaurants that are struggling that need your support. So please support all of us. And our website is explorethehall.com. Kind of give you an update of what's going on in our future, and also kind of the initiatives that we're doing to help new restaurants kind of grow and provide 100% financing for them. And most importantly, thank you everyone for your support over the years for the Hall. All the families and ownership in the Hall appreciate it. All of our restaurateurs appreciate it, and we're just humbled by the overwhelming support we've had before, after, and during COVID.
Well, thanks so much. We look forward to hearing you come back and talk about your other concepts and hopefully opening a hotel soon. So thank you. Talk to you next time. Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
take care.